All right. I'm sure it's going to show me looking around for the first couple of minutes. Yeah. How's everybody doing? I'm getting everything together. I appreciate your patience. We should be transmitting on Zoom. If you want to join the meeting, you can send me a message on LinkedIn or Facebook. I have them both open. And of course, on YouTube, I'll be watching the chat. If you have anything that you want to share, any questions you want to ask, we do have some topics we're going to try to go over. And just getting everything set up. If you want to join the Zoom, send me a message on LinkedIn or Facebook. You will need to have your video on. We uh, we respect everybody's privacy, but we're not big on anonymity here. All right, perfect. Everything looks like it's operating. So thank you so much. If you're not a subscriber to the YouTube channel, please subscribe. We're going to be doing a lot more lives. Tonight, I am inviting business owners to talk about what they're doing, or if you're working on a project, share it with us. It's almost like a quick mastermind. It's a great way to jump in and share what you're doing. And one of the biggest things about mastermind group, one of the most positive things is the accountability. So you'll typically have a mastermind group and you'll go into the meeting and explain what's going on. And then the group holds you accountable for that. So let's say if you're an author and your goal is to write X number of pages a day or finish a book by X date. Uh-oh, there we go. It's showing the delay there on YouTube. So sorry about that audio. And when you go back to the next meeting, whether you meet once a month on the mastermind group or you meet once a week, they'll check on you. They'll check on that progress. You know, did you get the book cover done for your book? Did you get the book done? Did you get those 10 prospects? So I'm slowly trying to introduce that concept into these YouTube lives to make it an informal mastermind group open to anybody where we can introduce each other. And I know I don't think there's really anybody on there on LinkedIn that couldn't afford to get a few more clients. As a matter of fact, most of the activity I see on there are people um, trying to get more clients, trying to get more prospects. And with that, this has been a little bit difficult because there's so many different things I have to click on at the same time. But I am going to get into this Zoom meeting and try to share my screen. Probably have one or 10 too many windows open. There we go. I want to try to share my screen. I don't do this often enough. Okay, there we go. Sorry, and all the bobbing is because the camera's right in the middle of my screen, so I always have to look to the left and the right. So it looks like I'm sharing my screen. This is my email account, rg@freetimemastermind.com. And I want to go over this is part of the hot takes and the Sunday roast. We're not trying to make fun of anybody. What I'm doing, I'm playing a role in this situation where I would be a consultant to this person. And I'm not trying to dog them. I'm just trying to show you what gets sent to me and how differently they could have done it. And if they implement these changes, they're going to do a lot better. So this is like free consulting for them. I don't want people to think I'm trying to make fun of them. Really, I'm not. There's just so much room for improvement in their communication that I think that they would be a lot more successful. And some of you on camera, some of you are sending stuff out like this. I know you are. So take a look at this. I'm going to go over the things to do and not to do. I don't do any cold outreach. Um, and that's particular to my model. I might change that at some point, but let's look at Anavar Tomash. Excuse me, Avinash Tomar. There he is. He's a founder of At Podcrafter Studio, passionate about amplifying podcasters' reach through captivating edits, empowering 20 plus podcasts worldwide. Okay. So if I was him right there off the bat, empowering 20 plus podcasts worldwide, 20 clients is not a whole lot. I would say, Mr. Tomar, go get 4 more clients, which is 2 dozen, and then you can change that line to empowering dozens of podcasts worldwide. That sounds like a much bigger number, and all you have to do is have 2 dozen, which is 24. That may sound silly, but 20 plus isn't very impressive. He's being honest, and I appreciate that, but he probably should either leave that line out or go get 4 more clients. So you've got 2 dozen, so you can say dozens. Hi, Robert. I recently came across your content and absolutely loved it. Well, let me stop you right there, Mr. Tomar. You didn't subscribe to the channel. First mistake you made. If you loved the content as you stated you did, you'd be a subscriber. So with most of you that are whether we're talking about cold outreach to somebody with a newsletter or a podcast, the least you can do is subscribe. You click one button. It's very, very, very low effort. So I would have started this off as, I love your channel and I'm a subscriber, or I'm a subscriber. So now you've got skin in the game. The dynamic has changed. He goes, I'm reaching about our podcast post-production services. So they're in editing, basically, that I believe could bring great value to both our work and clients. Our quality, speed, and prices are unmatchable. Let me know if you'd like a taste of it via a sample edit. Okay, so that's what he does. I didn't reply. I do my own editing, and then I've got a great editor for the interviews that I do, and that's Javon Winston from Upwork. So next, we're going to look at this email from. I've got to move this around a little bit. I'm having a hard time seeing it. This is from Mr. Naeem Ahmed. And so the first message you saw a moment ago, that was a LinkedIn message. So that was a cold outreach from LinkedIn. I think you can only do that 20 times a day, if I'm not mistaken, on LinkedIn, depending on the type of account you got. So Mr. Tomar burned one of them. A wasted opportunity. Would have behooved him to make some of those changes. Now, this is actually a direct email. Somehow he found my email. It's not hard to find. It's all over my stuff. So Mr. Ahmed reaches out, and he's from a Gmail address. No big deal, but if he's from a big company, it would be a company email. It might be worth investing in to make yourself look a little bit more professional. But, hey, everybody's going to start somewhere. No shade on that. He goes, hello there. I hope you're aware. I've been keeping an eye on your YouTube channel. Well, once again, you're not a subscriber, Mr. Ahmed. So if you were hot on it, you would have clicked that button. It takes 2 seconds. Would have really increased your credibility with me. I'm sad to say, despite your YouTube video quality being full, not sure what that means. You are not getting the proper result. Probably need a comment in there too. So I don't want to bust on this guy, but there's a lot of, there's some bad grammar and different things in there, and that's okay. It happens. Even though, every email account should have spell check and grammar check. So I don't know how all this stuff got passed through. So what he does is what's called SEO optimization. But what's interesting is he gets in here, and you can tell the program he's using is vidIQ. Well, now I'm a subscriber to vidIQ, so I don't need his services, because what he's doing is he has a vidIQ account, and he's going to charge me over and above what vidIQ would charge me, probably. And then he just pays for the subscription. Well, I have a subscription now, so I get all of this data. vidIQ does tell me the things to put in the thumbnail. It gives me suggestions. I'm still not completely sold on vidIQ. I'm continuing to use it. I don't know if YouTube has gotten more competitive or what, but my views are not as strong as they were when I was doing the interviews. But again, I understand my solo content never did quite as well, but I'm using vidIQ for the thumbnails, for the descriptions, the titles, the keywords, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of changes. I'm not seeing a lot of lift on that, but I think that again has more to do with what's going on with YouTube than my channel. So anyway, he's got all of his information here. That looks pretty nice at the bottom. But again, the number one thing he could have done, I'd say the 2 biggest things he could have done that were very easy, is just clean this up. It's nice to use somebody's first name at the beginning of an email. Break your paragraphs up a little bit. That's a big mess. And grammar and spell check, those are free. And subscribe to the channel. The big thing is subscribe to the channel. Have some skin in the game. So I'm going to stop sharing, and then hopefully I pop back on camera here. And now I can jump over to YouTube and see what they're seeing. I'm going to check too. If you want to make some comments in the chat, if you want to enter the Zoom meeting, of course, you can just message me on LinkedIn or message me on Facebook, and I'll give you the code to get you into the Zoom meeting. All right. Apologize for the delay. I'm just trying to check everything. Oh, that's good. I'm sorry, I'm looking on YouTube right now, and I see that it shows my head speaking while the screen share. Okay, that's good. I thought it might just show the screen share. So that's nice to see. Okay, if anybody wants to leave a comment, I'm here for that. If you have a question, jump in. If you want to come on camera, I'll send you the Zoom link. You can talk about your business, free advertising. So what we'll do is I do have some notes from the podcast promoters, and it's kind of podcast promoters are a meme because honestly, what those people do. Now, I'm not talking about the first guy who wants to edit my videos. Those guys are normally legit, and your videos should be edited. I use a program called Descript. It's not as good as when Javon edits my videos. Javon Winston, you can look him up on Upwork, dynamite editor. He does a great job. So the automation and some of my own editing that I do on the program Descript is not nearly as smooth as what Javon does, but he's using a $1,000 program and he's got years of experience. So I'm using a lot of automation on mine. But I would say the biggest thing you have to be careful of is the podcast promoters either don't deliver any value or they send you junk views and junk subscribers. So they'll go to one of those bot farms and you'll get a bunch of attention on your channel, but it screws up the algorithm because really you want YouTube to send your content to the people that it's most relevant to. Whereas if you're paying for views, you're going to get a bunch of trash and it's really not going to help your channel in the long run. A lot of people cheat. I've seen channels with thousands of subscribers and I looked at their content and I know they're paying for their views because there's no way people are going that crazy over content that's poorly constructed. I'm sorry to say that, but not everybody, it's not a level playing field out there. But in the long run, it really doesn't help them. It really doesn't help them. So the other thing too with the podcast promoters is you have to be careful. You're giving these people access to your accounts, and that's a big issue. So if you give your access to the wrong kind of person, they'll take over your YouTube. And I've heard of them holding it hostage, and then you have to pay them a bunch more money. That's why I like to go through Upwork. Again, I have a checkered history with Upwork. They used to be really good, and now they're using a lot of automation. And I've had to complain a number of times with them. But the people, the freelancers on Upwork are very good. I've generally overwhelmingly had positive experiences. I've gotten a lot better at picking out good freelancers. If you need any help with that, let me know. But I think the people on Upwork are great. I'm just starting to lose faith and confidence in Upwork as an organization themselves. I think they fired a lot of people and they brought in a lot of automation, and it shows. And it's unfortunate because I know they're making a lot of money, or they should be making a lot of money, because they get a piece of when I'm paying, and they get a piece of the actual creator too. So they have to be doing very, very well. So I'm going to bring Eva into the conversation. If she does a little bit better job, she may take over the podcast altogether. She'll be the only one that you see. So let me talk to her a little bit. Hey, Eva, I am live on YouTube and I wanted to go over something with you. I just discussed a couple of different things about podcast promoters and people that do cold outreach. What I wanted you to do is to explain to us the difference between features and benefits, the difference between features and benefits in a cold email, and why it's so important to explain the benefits versus the features.
Sure thing. And hello to everyone tuning in live. So let's break it down. When you're doing cold outreach, especially via email, the difference between features and benefits is super important. So features are basically the factual statements about what your product or service does. For example, if you're talking about a podcast promoter, a feature might be that they can send out 500 emails a day. It's just a fact. But benefits are where you translate that feature into something that really matters to the person reading your email. So a benefit might be that by sending out those 500 emails a day, the promoter is actually saving you hours of time and getting your podcast in front of the right audience, which means you grow faster without the grunt work. In cold outreach, it's really crucial to lean into those benefits because the person on the other end of the email doesn't just want to hear what you do, they want to know how it's going to make their life easier or better. So always focus on explaining why your feature is a good thing for them. That's what grabs attention and makes people more likely to respond.
Okay, very good. I appreciate that. There was something I meant to say earlier as an addendum to my analysis of those emails. Another thing they can do at the end of the emails, Eva, is to give testimonials, or they can give 3 examples. So if someone is promising that they can get you more subscribers or more views on your YouTube channel, they should give 3 examples of 3 channels that they did that for, and maybe even potentially offer their contact information of their former clients as testimonials. So instead of just giving the video testimonials, they can say, upon request, we can provide you with the information to those companies. What do you think about that as a strategy, Eva?
I think that's a great addition and it's a really strong strategy. Offering concrete examples and testimonials can definitely boost credibility. It's one thing to say, hey, we can get you more views, but it's another to say, here are 3 channels we've actually helped. And you can even talk to them if you want to verify how it went. That kind of transparency shows confidence in your results and gives the recipient a lot more trust in what you're offering. So, yeah, absolutely a solid move. And I think it's a perfect way to wrap up a cold email and make it more persuasive.
I also wanted you to talk about how people, when they buy views, for instance, if they buy subscribers and buy views, from some shady, usually overseas company, that actually hurts the YouTube channel. Can you explain how that works?
Absolutely. And that's a really important point to bring up. So when people buy views or subscribers from those shady services, it might seem like a quick way to boost numbers, but it actually ends up doing more harm than good. The reason is that YouTube's algorithm is really focused on engagement and how real viewers interact with your content. So if you have a bunch of bought subscribers or views that are basically just bots or uninterested accounts, those people aren't going to engage with your videos in a meaningful way. They won't like, comment, or watch your content for any length of time. And what happens is the YouTube algorithm starts to see that your channel has a lot of views or subscribers, but very little actual
That's right.
engagement.
And Eva, let me break in for a second there. Also, too, there's a danger of, let's say, like the podcast promoters, which usually have generally poor, um, a very poor result history. Also, explain the dangers of turning your access to your YouTube channel over to someone because they can hijack it.
Absolutely, that's a really important point to mention as well. So, when it comes to letting someone else have access to your YouTube channel, especially if they're a less reputable promoter, there's a real risk that they could hijack or misuse your account. Once someone has access, they could potentially change your settings, upload content you didn't approve, or even lock you out. And that's not just a headache, it can do real damage to your channel's reputation and your brand. So it's always better to keep control of your own account and only work with people or services you really trust. If you do have to give someone access, make sure it's on a very limited basis, like maybe just a manager role, and that you can revoke that access at any time. It's really about protecting your channel and making sure you stay in control.
I'm with you on that, Eva. I appreciate it. And thank you for everybody tuning in. Let me just check. I see that I've gotten some notifications and some messages, so I'm just going to check up on everything and make sure that anybody that wants to get into the meeting can get into the meeting. All right. All right, perfect. So anybody watching, if you want to join the conversation on Zoom, get on camera. That's all I ask, is that you get on camera. Send me a message through Facebook or send me a message through LinkedIn. I'm monitoring both. Also, if you just want to type, if you want to interact via YouTube, you can just put something in the chat. Let me know you're alive. Just type "I'm alive," because I can see people are watching, but I just don't have any interaction there. So don't be shy. Type something in the chat just to let me know you're here. I won't put you on the spot unless you want to be put on the spot. But that was part of what I wanted to do today. I wanted to invite some people on. That way they could talk about their business. They could talk about what projects they're working on. And again, I'll continue to talk about other topics that I have, as well as bringing Eva in on some conversations. So earlier, we just looked through some, I wouldn't call them spam, but some unsolicited email. One was a message via LinkedIn and one was via email. So I wanted people to see that. I did suggest some changes that those people could improve their cold outreach. So I wanted to say too, you see the same behavior on LinkedIn. Um, the interactions could be so much more meaningful, the cold outreach. And in the case of LinkedIn, if you're not actively connected with somebody, I think you can only do 20 outreach messages per day. So I don't know where these people are coming from if they have access to multiple accounts, but only 20 a day, that's not a lot. So it makes a lot more sense to invest more energy in those 20 contacts. So these people are just kind of throwing spaghetti against the wall, seeing what sticks. And that's not a very good strategy, especially if you only have 20 contacts. And I see some people are joining the stream. I appreciate that. If you want to subscribe to the channel, that would certainly help our reach. If you want to join the chat, type in the chat. If you want to get on video, send me a message on Facebook or LinkedIn, and I'll send you all of the Zoom info with the access so that we can talk about it. So I'm going to look at my notes because I think I'll do a better job reading this than to trying to riff on it. So I also have some emails and I've been some LinkedIn messages, and I'm not sure if I want to bring them up and share them on screen because I really, even though I call this the Sunday roast, I don't really want it to seem like I'm making fun of people. Really not. I'm just showing how much room there could be for improvement because I know a lot of you watching this do cold outreach or you send emails and you wonder why people don't respond. And well, a lot of it's really simple. And I can save this for a long form video that I'll shoot tomorrow. So what I've been doing is I've been trying to go live every other day and then shooting a full normal edited episode on the opposing days. And I think I'll share those emails tomorrow because it's easier to do the screen share. This for me, running all this by myself is very tough. I have an enormous number of windows open right now, and I'm doing about all the multitasking that I can possibly do. So it goes back to a book by Joe Polish called "What's in It for Them," and he runs the great mastermind group, the Genius Network. The book that came before that was also very popular was How to Win Friends and Influence People. Look, that's a good book. I think it's way behind the times. I encourage people to read Joe Polish's book. I think it's excellent. And I'm not trying to be funny, but I think the great book after Joe Polish's book would probably be the one that I'm working on for LinkedIn because it's not just about LinkedIn. I'm using the book to discuss LinkedIn, but I'm using LinkedIn as a vehicle to also discuss my experience over the years in networking and making connections with people. And I don't know if it's a generational thing. I don't know if it's because of the health crisis in 2022, but people seem to be losing or have lost their ability to understand how to socialize properly. Now that's coming from somebody with that's high functioning Asperger's. So if I see problems with people communicating, then people are having trouble because I'm even sometimes shocked at people's behavior because it's very they're not helping themselves is basically what I'm saying. And a lot of us could do with a lot more business. And if you read Joe Polish's book, What's in It for Them? Well, the secret is in the title. He encourages people to be a pain detector and understand what other people's needs are. And sometimes it takes a lot of time to understand what somebody's needs are. And that just takes a little bit more effort. I think in these cases where I get these emails and this cold outreach, I don't think I've ever done business. I don't think I've ever given money to someone who sent me a cold email or a spam email or cold outreach. I do in the last couple of years, I've done almost all of my contract work through Upwork. There's a few rare exceptions. And one of them was the most money I ever spent and got the least for it was outside of Upwork. So there was huge regret there. If I had done that project inside of Upwork, I would have been able to at least probably get half of that money refunded because the job was not done correctly. So I like to stay inside of the Upwork ecosystem because it's very secure. But anyway, that being said, I just don't do business with people that do cold outreach. I really, really don't. Um, they're it's much better if we've been friends on Facebook for a while or we've been friends on LinkedIn for a while. And a lot of these people, they'll friend me on Facebook or more so, I'm a lot more active on LinkedIn, but they'll connect with me and then they won't support any of my stuff. And this is very controversial, and this is going to be its own video. I don't want to seem like I'm a scorekeeper, but I'm a scorekeeper. In other words, a lot of times on LinkedIn, and again, this will be tomorrow's video, so I can show snapshots of what I'm talking about. People will not interact with any of my stuff. They won't click like, they won't click comment. There's no engagement, but they'll send me a friend request. So on LinkedIn, if you're not familiar, you can follow somebody, which you basically just get their stuff into your feed, or you can do a connection, which is very similar to Facebook's friend request. The connection is a much more serious thing because then you see all of their stuff and they see all of your stuff. The feeds, their stuff is in your feed and vice versa. Whereas if somebody just clicks follow, they're just receiving your stuff. And it's a bit unusual to just jump right into the friendship, which is what a lot of people do, but they're doing it for a not so good reason. They do the connection so that they can send you a message because you get in trouble a lot less with LinkedIn if you request to be connected with this person first before you send that cold email. So that's what they're doing. It's a strategy. It's a tactic. I understand. People are trying to run a business and they're trying to get more customers. The problem I have with it is the low level of effort they're putting into it. And so I only accept the friendships or requests about a third of the time. I don't mind if they follow me, but I don't want to see the stuff on their feed if they're not going to support what I'm doing. I'm unusual in the sense that on social media, I don't want 100,000 connections. I really don't. I would really rather just have 100 good ones. Now, if people want to follow me, if they resonate with my content, that's great. It's like what you're experiencing here on YouTube. If you're a subscriber, you get to see, but I want you in the chat. I want to talk to you. I want us to interact. I want to level up that relationship. But if you just want to subscribe and enjoy the content, then absolutely. It's completely up to you what the level of interaction is. But if somebody connects with me on LinkedIn, I have an expectation that you requested the connection to me. There's something about what I'm doing that you want to connect with. So if we connect and then you just send me a cold email trying to sell me something, and then you don't interact on my page in any way, you don't like, you don't support my stuff, you don't repost, which is like shares. The LinkedIn's version of sharing is called reposting. Then you're gone after about 30 days. That might sound pretty tough, but again, I don't need all these connections because it's jamming up my feed. I want to see my feed loaded with people that support me and I want to support them. When they've got an event coming up, I want to repost it. I want to promote it. I want to tell people how great they are. I want to spend a lot of energy on a very small group of people that spend energy on me. And and although I'm sure that sounds logical to you, so few people do that. It's spray and pray. Let me get as many friends as I can. Now, since I'm writing a book on LinkedIn before it gets published, let's be honest, I'm going to have to get my numbers up because what are people going to do when they're shopping for the book and they see it and they think, well, I wonder if this guy's credible. They might go to my LinkedIn, and if I've got 2 friends, they're going to say, this guy wrote a book on LinkedIn and he doesn't know anybody. So I do need to bump my numbers up. But again, I'm very upfront and honest about the process. I don't have any hidden agendas here. So, but I don't want to be friends with everybody. My feed already has a lot of stuff in it, and I want that level of reciprocity, that good give and take between myself and my network. If anybody has any questions, drop it in the chat. Subscribe to the channel. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can message me on LinkedIn and I will give you the access code for Zoom so you can come on camera, tell us about your video, give us your 5 minute pitch for your company, tell us about it. And I'm getting some interactions here on LinkedIn. I'm just checking it real quick and make sure we don't miss out on pulling anybody into the conversation. Okay. Nope. All right, back to the podcast. So let me go back to my notes. So like I said, I don't need to be friends with everybody. I don't want to be friends with everybody. If and I'm sorry if you're a parent out there and you have a bunch of kids. You can't raise 6 kids as well as you can raise 1 kid. You might love them all equally, but let's be honest, there's only so many hours in a day. You can raise 1 kid so much better than you can 6 kids. Same thing with your friends network. If you're friends with everybody, how good is how much quality is there in that relationship? Not very much. I like high quality relationships. We're cheering each other on, we're holding each other accountable, we show up for each other's lives, we subscribe to each other's stuff, we promote each other's events. Those are the people I want. If you're seeing this, stay interactive with your friends. Don't just do it with me, do it with everybody in your network. And also, too, if you want to call some people out of your list, I'm with you. And I said in yesterday's video, and I'm going to repeat it today. You've seen those hot air balloons, and before they lift off the ground, they've got sandbags all the way around the outside. That's to keep them close to the ground, but as they want to go higher and higher, they cut the sandbags and they either let the sand drain out or sometimes they'll just drop the bag altogether so that they can go higher. If rockets want to leave the atmosphere, they have to jettison all of those other tanks and boosters. Your business life and maybe even your social life is the same way. There are people pulling you down. Even if you've got your stuff together and you're watching this right now, I guarantee you have people that are slowing you down. And I'm not saying you have to get rid of them. I'm saying you'll go so much further, so much faster if they're not in your life, or you find a way to limit that interaction. So usually what I like to do is I'll set boundaries with people where they know I won't take their call on any day other than a weekend because for whatever reason. So I might first create constraints. And I've got somebody now, this is very painful to talk about. There's somebody that I've known for a very long time. And unfortunately, those are the toughest ones. The people that you've known the longest are some of the most draining, and they're the hardest to get rid of, and they really should be some of the first people in line to get rid of. And I've got somebody that I've known for a very, very long time. We've got a lot of memories together, but they just don't understand reciprocity. They really, really don't. And it's very taxing when someone is only into what they're into and they're not really interested in hearing what's going on with you. I always want to listen. I want to hear what's going on with people. I want to cheer people on, but I do expect that in return. So I think an old, longtime friend is on their way out. But it's okay. I bring this up because I'm sure you're having the same thing too. And I've let a lot of people go, more than most people. I've shed my social circle many, many times. I've moved around a lot. I've gone through different careers. So I've had a constant refreshing of my social circle. And really, I don't have the people that I've let go, I don't have any regrets. Unfortunately, none of them changed. The behavior that caused them to no longer be in my life, they never changed. They never changed. I want to be better than I was last year. I want to be better 5 years from now than I am today. I'm doing the best that I can, and I want to have value and deliver value in other people's lives. And not everybody's that way. I think very few people are that way, and that's sad. So you have to be the change you want to be, right? So be that quality person that you want in your life. And I don't say this enough. I want to probably put this up. If I could, I'd put it up every day on my LinkedIn. Like you can set schedules for posts to keep coming up. I'll at least do it once a week. But just simply say something. all of us want everybody else to subscribe and like, and we like that validation. Some people crave it. I don't crave it, but if I do put 6 hours into shooting a video, I'd like somebody to click like and to be nice or pick up a subscriber or two. That would be great. But a lot of people complain nobody's clicking on my stuff. Well, how many people's stuff did you click on today? You have to give to get, and you have to give a lot. You have to give until it hurts sometimes. And then you have to give for months and months and months, and then slowly it'll trickle and it'll come back to you, and then it's really good. But again, you can't get weighed down by a bunch of unproductive relationships. So I'm going to go back and just take a quick look to see if there are any questions in the chat. I think I can close that down. I may have sent the wrong link first or not did the right kind of connection there. That might have hurt some of our viewership on the two platforms because I had to update the link. Okay, yeah, no messages in there. All right, no problem. Go back to my notes for a second. Sorry for all this. Like I said, I've got a lot of windows open. Yeah, I was going to break down that email that somebody sent, but I'll do that on a video because I'll have to open up and share screen and different things. So the whole thing in the beginning was just the cold outreach and the relative low effort of that low outreach and how easily that could be improved. I'll say that on tomorrow's video. And I covered some of that. Yeah, yeah. I wanted to say too that um, until you're a YouTuber, until you have a YouTube channel and you upload content, you'll never know how important it is to like and subscribe and comment. And I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't think I had a YouTube account until maybe 3 years ago where I could actually sign in. I might have had one a long, long, long time ago and decided, okay, I'm not a creator. And then a couple of years ago, they implemented some things that I think like the, um, 17 plus content, like if it was a car accident or something, you had to sign in. So that's when I got more serious. And about 3 years ago, I got I guess a Google account to get access. But I wasn't doing a whole lot of liking and subscribing unless the stuff was really way out there, really outstanding. I usually didn't engage very much. And then, man, once I started the channel, I began to understand. But sometimes you have to walk a mile in somebody's shoes to understand. So now I'll watch a YouTube video, realize it's not relevant or it's not very helpful. I'll leave a like anyway. Now, I won't subscribe to a channel that I don't think that there's value because, again, I don't want my feed jammed up with a bunch of stuff that's not relevant to me. But even if the video doesn't land with me, I'm still going to click like anyway. And friends sometimes will do live events and I want to support them, but I might be working for somebody else or doing a different project at the time. If I'm around, if I'm on the computer or even on the phone, because I was in a meeting the other day and someone was doing I think it was a Facebook Live, it might have been a LinkedIn Live. Either way, I logged in on my phone and I let it play. I had to turn the volume down and then I continued the meeting. So for them, it still showed that there was another attendee, which helps them. It gets the algorithm, it suggests the video to more friends. But that's what I'm trying to do by supporting people to be involved in those live videos. If possible, I try to interact if I'm there, if I can direct all of my attention. But there's only so much of me to go around. So if you want, let us know what you've got going on. If you want to introduce yourself in the YouTube comment section, you certainly can. If you want to join via Zoom, you can go into LinkedIn or Facebook and message me, and I'll send you the Zoom invite. You can come on camera and check it out. And thank you for joining us. I see somebody else has joined us via YouTube. I really appreciate that. And so what I was talking about is I didn't understand the power of engagement on YouTube until I became a YouTuber. And I was begging for those likes and the subscribes and the comments. And now I do it for other channels. Again, I won't subscribe to a channel unless it's got a lot of value to me. But even if a video doesn't resonate, I'll leave a like, because that 1 hour video, I know it takes at least, if you're a superstar and you edit a video, a 1 hour video is going to take you at least 3 hours from start to finish. But a lot of times, like the other day, I wrote a script. The script took an hour. I shot an hour and 20 minutes worth of video, and then I think it took 3 hours to edit it because I had to insert other videos and photos. And I mean, it was overall, it was about 6 hours. And I think I got about 5 views. I mean, that's painful. That's more than half a day's work. But that's how it goes. Some things hit, some things don't. I said on a previous video, I had a post on LinkedIn go viral supernova. It was nuts. And it was, I don't even think it was written that well, and had I known it was going to blow up, I would have written it a lot better. But you never know what's going to resonate with people. I used to work with musicians, and they would say, "Oh, we think track 3 is going to do really well." Nobody knows. Sometimes bands had a good sense of what the hits were on the album, but in general, no, nobody knows. There were songs that I thought would do very well. As a matter of fact, the recent interview with Rick Beato, the great YouTube music educator, he had Neil Schon on from Journey, and Neil said every song that he thought was going to be a hit wasn't a hit. He said if he had to be in charge of what songs got released as singles, the band wouldn't have survived. So his sense of what was going to be a single is terrible. Same thing with content creators. You can pour your heart into something and nobody looks at it. And then you can kind of flippantly just drop a comment somewhere, and then it goes wild. The only way to get those viral moments is you just have to spend a lot of time in the trenches, and you find out what works and what doesn't. And I'm slowly getting this for the first time in my life, I would say, after all these years of social media, at least on LinkedIn. Like Facebook is still somewhat of a mystery to me. But that's a different platform, and it's an older platform. But LinkedIn, I do see patterns now. I'm starting to see some of what works and what doesn't on there. The posts that I'm making, that's where I'm getting more attention on LinkedIn than I am on YouTube. And I put a lot less time into, because LinkedIn, I'm not shooting a lot of video. I'm usually just writing. And I can tell you and how important writing is, elevating your skill as a writer. Think about it. Every communication you make is usually in writing. You're texting friends and family, responding to invites to things. You're on Facebook, you're on LinkedIn, you're applying for a job, you're emailing a condolence to an old friend. All of those things, if you hone your writing skills, it gets better. And I will tell you that my personal relationships in the last 2 years, now that I've been on this journey to try to become a writer, I mean, I am one. I'm a published author, about to publish the same book again, and then a new book a few months after that. But I'm not saying I'm a great writer. I might not even say I'm a good writer. At best, I'm now have gravitated to where I'm an average writer. But the quality of the relationships that I have and the quality of the communication I have with people is so much better because I can write better now. I'm writing more in pictures where I'm really placing somebody there, the sights, the smells, the flavors. It's more persuasive, it's more interesting. And I've got a long way to go, but I'm really enjoying seeing the positive impact of all of this time and effort and energy into cultivating my writing. And again, some of this attention that I'm getting on LinkedIn is directly connected to the elevated quality of my writing, thanks to mentors and great writers like Joanna Penn. I'm a big fan of her book. William Zissner wrote a great book on writing. I think I've probably, no exaggeration, read at least 15 books on writing. Writing Down the Bones by Natalie Goldberg, I finished that about 2 weeks ago, which is a great book. I've really spent a lot of time studying the craft of writing. On Writing by Stephen King is another good one. There's some great books out there. I've probably read 8 of Joanna Penn's books because she doesn't just talk about how to write. She talks about the business of writing, how to market your book, how to sell your book. And she's dynamite. She just seems like a dynamite lady. So for those of you, and I see you, I can't see who you are, but I can see that people are watching the YouTube. Don't be shy. Introduce yourself in the chat. Ask a question if you want. If you want to join via Zoom, message me. I'll give you the codes, the access codes. You can come on camera. We can talk, introduce yourself, tell us what you've got going on. And let me just check my, yeah, I think I've got 200 hours of labor in my YouTube channel and 174 subscribers. Yeah, that's tough. It's I'm not gonna lie, it's discouraging. But I took a long break. I didn't really lose any subscribers. Actually, I took about, I guess it's about 6 months off. And when I started uploading and shooting again, I actually lost a couple of subscribers because, they hadn't seen anything come from the channel in a while, and then all of a sudden I popped up. It's like a spam email, like a spammer keeps spamming you, and then you don't hear from them a while, and then they come back, and then you unsubscribe. So it was tough. I started back shooting, and I think some of the quality is better. And I actually lost a few people, but we're up to 174 now. I have shot every day for, I don't know, maybe every day for the last 2 weeks. And I've done one day of live video like today. And then tomorrow I'll shoot kind of an episode that gets edited down. I'm going to start shooting shorter episodes because, man, 2 days ago, that took 6 hours, as I mentioned before, and that was pretty rough. So, yeah. And I was just looking at some statistics about YouTube, and that 80% of the people, like 80% of you watching this right now, are not subscribers. So, as I was saying before, when you're a creator, you're going to want somebody to subscribe to your stuff, to like, to comment, to interact. Because if those of you that were watching right now, if you're in the comments, and you're typing, we'd have more people in here. I mean, ultimately, it's up to me to deliver the quality, to bring people in, and I fully accept that responsibility. But when I'm on your live stream and when I'm on your live YouTube video, I'm going to interact, I'm going to comment, I'm going to subscribe, I'm going to like, because I know it helps you. And I'll give everybody a couple of more minutes if somebody wants to join. I'll go for another hour if I need to. But if there's no questions, I'm going to wait on the chat. I know that the delay is usually at least a minute. If somebody wants to introduce themselves in the chat, if they have a question, if they want to join via Zoom, all they have to do is message me on Facebook or message me on LinkedIn. But if there's no questions, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to give it about 30 more seconds. And this is the Free Time Mastermind podcast. We've actually looked at maybe rebranding that. I don't know. What do you guys think? I've got this going on. I've got the YouTube project, and then of course I've got the second edition of Scintilla that's hopefully will come out before Christmas, at the very least. I kind of missed the Christmas season selling of the books, but better late than never. And then I have another book that it's going to come out a few months later on LinkedIn and networking. Very excited about that. Scintilla, I love the book, but I think I'm on my 6th revision. It's second edition, but I've made a few major revisions before. That's the great thing about KDP for you writers out there. You can change your cover on your book. You can change your book and just upload the change. You don't have to say second edition, third edition, because I made major revisions to the book and just silently uploaded them. So the people that bought it after the revision kept getting the newer and newer version without the cover even changing. So KDP is amazing. I think, and I forget what the word is. We call some information evergreen. In other words, that's information that's perpetually relevant. But there's a new word, and I can't think of the name of it, where it gets updated forever. And I think AI is going to be part of that. I think eventually AI is going to make a book like a living document. So if anything changes or becomes antiquated after the book is initially written, I think you'll have this AI tender or this AI editor that sits there passively and maybe once a week, once a month starts to change the book and make it more relevant. So we don't have any comments. We're 50 minutes in. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to the channel. Click like, click comment. If you want to connect with me, I'm much more active on LinkedIn than I am on Facebook. I also run a group for writers and aspiring writers that want to publish their books, particularly self-published, and also primarily directed towards nonfiction business authors. That's on Facebook. I also have the same group on LinkedIn, although that group on LinkedIn is a lot newer, so there's hardly anybody in it. But send me a message on here, send me a message on any of these other platforms, whatever questions you want to pose. And we'll see you next time once I can find the dropout button here on LinkedIn. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.